We're pressing pause and then talking about everything or nothing. Eric, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on? What is up, Pause Gang? It's your boy, Hate Zero, your hero.
Crawler.
Hey, how's it going? Crawler coming at you. Feeling a lot better today than I did earlier this week.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is good. It's very good.
Do we
But
have
Eric, I think Eric had teased something last week in the Discord, and I think if you're watching video, there's something right there in front of you staring you in the face.
Yeah,
I think
this
Eric,
whole thing.
Yeah, Eric has something he wants to share.
This whole thing. So for the three of you listening and the one of you watching around the world, I am going to become a dad. We are expecting, and we're pretty excited. August.
Are we the last to find out?
No, we're just now announcing. We waited till we were in the clear, whenever that's supposed to be.
Yeah, 12 weeks usually. So
are there still other people that should know that don't know yet? Is the question I'm asking.
Yes, there are. You guys are not the last to know. I have done a bad job of informing my family.
But you made a video that you just showed to us that I hope you're going to be sending their way here.
Yeah, maybe I'll send them the announcement video, or I'll just send them maybe I'll put it on my Twitter and just send them the link to my Twitter.
Make sure they're following.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, well, I'll tell them. Hey, thank you. So all the unsolicited advice, I may not action everything, but I am here for it. Give me all the free advice you can. And if I don't like it, I'll just ignore it. But if it's something I like, then I'll take it. Like some people get offended when you give them advice, but like I'm not that person. I'll take it. Like I may not use it, but I'll take it.
Are you asking for advice from us?
Yeah, you and the three listeners for sure.
But my advice would have been don't have kids, so I don't know. Like,
well, I already screwed that up.
You didn't do that 4 times over there, Josh. I didn't do it 3 times over.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after that I learned, unfortunately.
Our plan is just this one. This is it. This is the whole thing right here. All of our eggs are in this basket. That's a weird analogy in this case.
Mean, everyone says it. Josh has got ones that are gone now, so I mean he can probably live it, but like it goes quick.
Yeah. I believe it.
The last week we have not had any kids at home.
You're what 4 years out from being empty nesters, right?
Yeah.
Ish.
Oh, they never go away. They don't. They'll come creeping back. So you'll never have an empty nest again. That's a myth. It's cool. I mean, we're getting older. I'm turning 37, so we enjoyed plenty of that, young, wild, and free life. So we're just doing it in reverse. You'll have an empty nest about the time mine is going to be full for forever. So just
but I mean, just one. That's good. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
That's manageable. They don't,
and we're still running a double team, right?
Yeah.
So you guys you're both exactly. You guys are both playing zone. I'm not even man to man. I'm going double team. We're good.
No, yeah. I mean, don't blink. Right? That's what everybody says. Like, don't blink.
It goes that fast. Like, everything else in life does.
Yeah. And I think I think they're difficult when they're younger. I don't know. I don't know.
They seem difficult when they're younger, but like you aren't going to have another one to compare it to. No. Like after having 3, like the baby years are easy. They can't move. They just eat, sleep, and poop. I mean,
I guess the hardest part's right. The messed up sleep schedule in the first 6 months.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're like me,
the joke everywhere is like wives want to sleep on their husband's side of the bed because that side doesn't hear the baby. So I mean, I'm a heavy sleeper, and
I'm not, unfortunately. So maybe I can somehow learn that, but I doubt it. Like, I woke up the other night because I heard Safi starting to make the "I'm about to throw up" noise. Like that sound woke me up from a dead
kids
sleep,
make that noise too. Kids make that noise too.
Yeah.
So unfortunate for me, I don't think I will be able to sleep through much.
Yeah, my daughter figured out if she came to my side of the bed, she could actually get in bed and sleep. Because I didn't have any clue. I was completely oblivious. But yeah, then I mean, then you'll have like I had kids that were like sleepwalking, right? Like one time,
I still sleepwalk.
I'm picturing Step Brothers.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
you put the pillows in the oven.
This is I don't do that, but I do weird stuff, and we can talk about that once you finish your story. I'd love to share some.
Well, this is weird stuff. I mean, like Jen goes to put, I think she was putting Zoe down. Ethan must have been like 6 or 7, maybe 5. I don't know. Walks into my room. I'm just starting to doze. And all of a sudden I hear what sounds like water running in my room. And I'm like, what is this? And he's pissing on the clean clothes in a laundry basket while he's sleepwalking. Right? Like, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, what? You know, the slow turn.
While still going.
While still going, you're just like, oh my, what are you doing, kid?
I haven't done that.
We'd find him in random rooms. Like, we're lucky he didn't leave the house at times. Like, it's just like, what are you doing?
I still to this day sleepwalk. Hang's gotten very good at recognizing my behaviors when I'm sleepwalking. They usually all revolve around something that shouldn't be in the room being in the room, whether it be bees, an alligator, spiders.
Oh, you're like fighting these things?
And I'm trying to find them to exterminate them. And so like I'll usually flip on all the lights and then I'll start like looking under the bed, or I'll start ripping off all the blankets, and Hang's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? And so, but she's learned now that she can just start conversing with me, and she'll be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm looking for whatever. And she's like, where is it? Like, I don't know, I'm looking for it. And I'll start to get more and more frustrated, and slowly that'll bring me conscious enough to go, okay, this is...
You wake up out of the dream?
Yeah, because it's almost like augmented reality. Like I'm conscious, but I'm still convinced said thing is in the room and a threat. And so it's so weird. But this is a major reason baby can't sleep in the bed with me, because I can't trust myself to not like start whipping the blankets around, and so
looking for ants.
Yeah, so that's a no-fly zone. That's not going to happen here. But still do that.
They stop crying in their own beds eventually.
Yep.
You know, you'll sleep so much better. Like
in that scenario,
the hardest part is like when you have a puppy, right? And you're just like, oh, I just want to snuggle this thing all the time, and then you're like, oh, get out of my bed, like when I'm sleeping. You know,
I want it on my terms.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, we're excited. It's been a long time coming. We almost wondered like maybe this isn't even going to happen. So it's cool, very cool. Yeah. So it'll be here very quickly, very rapidly. It's already flying by, which is shocking.
Yeah.
We're
already halfway through February. Like what?
Yeah.
Where's the year going? So what are we talking about tonight? Because
there's been like three news stories. Kind of, I was scrolling through stuff today, just looking. And the eShop being closed, effective August next year or May next year. But then there was this little caveat that came out that you can't do credit card transactions after May of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And prepaid cards after like August or something like that of this year.
So you have to load a bunch of money
on there, but then they're going to shut it down later, and that's for 3DS and Wii U.
So I need to buy a Wii U now.
You can still load through your Switch.
Yeah, if they're tied. Yeah, if they're tied together.
If they're tied. But yeah, if you want a Wii U, you better. But they're already ridiculously priced. The Wii U is more expensive than an OLED at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk.
Wii U is my Metroid and Zelda machine right now. It's a good way to play the old ones.
I'm gonna throw some shade Nintendo's way. So if you have fragile ears and you don't want to hear this, you should stop listening now. But this is why piracy happens. They're creating this problem. This is ridiculous to shut down. This is the only method to legally get these games, and they're taking it away. It's not on the Switch, right? So
because there aren't all of the options that they have available on the 3DS and Wii U aren't available either through their legal means or through the subscription and or the just physical cards.
Yeah, and the subscription, they're just content with trickle feeding us
and subpar emulation.
Yeah, so I have, I'm not a huge advocate for bootlegging things, but at this point with this old of games that they're doing this crap, I don't know what choice you're leaving some people for some of these classic games. And I know that, it's kind of an entitlement thing. We shouldn't be entitled to these games. They're the owners. They can do whatever they want, and that includes not selling it anymore. But it's such a bullshitty way to exist. And then you get me started on the stupid. What is that stupid sports game that's coming out that they just decided you can't stream or show any video of?
Nintendo Sports.
Nintendo Sports. Yeah, that makes me think that's going to be a real killer of a title.
Yeah,
they have a lot of confidence there. But it's okay. I'll miss out on playing like this.
And I didn't realize that I was looking at it today. It's $40 digital for Switch Sports. That baseball's not even on there.
Oh, spike, good serve, volley.
So it's $40 digital.
There must be a new PlayStation game coming out because something
there is Friday.
He's been holding a PlayStation controller in his hand. I think.
I
have, but I'm not even that hyped for Horizon. Maybe
I was gonna say I want to talk about Horizon a little bit too.
Yeah, but let's continue trashing Nintendo first, so we can upset the last 3 fans we have.
But I like to get my Switch stuff. Almost everything else I like digital, but Switch for Nintendo stuff I like to get it physical, just because they like to do the things that they like to do and shut down eShops and not have ways to get stuff. I'm confident that Microsoft is going to continue to offer the games I purchase digitally through the future. PlayStation's getting better about it, but it's also for those games especially, I prefer to do digital because you have to install the physical disc anyway. So it's just a waste of my time and a pain in the ass to get go search for it on the shelf. It's cheaper a lot of time. A lot of my PlayStation titles are physical just because that's been the title, they're the platform that I lag behind kind of the most on getting stuff for. I got Guardians super cheap on Black Friday. I think I got I have a physical copy of
Did you
Uncharted.
Even open Guardians?
I did. I played. I want to finish it because it was fun.
How does it look? The graphics look beautiful.
Yeah, it's very vibrant and colorful. You're on alien planets, kind of walking around looking at stuff. It's good. But for Switch, the physical version of Switch Sports, I don't know if it's going to be 60. I don't know if it's going to be 50, but it doesn't seem like there's an option for a physical release. I already have the leg strap from Ring Fit, so I don't need the leg strap, but I think it's a requirement for the physical. So it's kind of frustrating there as well. But yeah, but the whole 8 or 5 or 6 different 45-minute segments to play Switch Sport. I already have it downloaded on my Switch. I'm excited to play it. I want to see the bowling battle royale or whatever it's going to be. See if I can swing the tennis racket as hard as I could on Wii, or if it's going to yell at me like it does in Clubhouse Sports, where it's oh, you're swinging it too fast, because bowling's not fun in Clubhouse because you can't just You can't just throw the ball.
You can't bowl. It doesn't simulate bowling.
So I mean, I'm curious about it, but it is concerning how limited it is and how protective they're trying to be of it, because we're obviously going to talk about it.
You can't.
But they don't want it. They don't want images shared on social media and all that kind of stuff.
And it's an alpha or whatever, right? It's stress test. So maybe it's just simply to protect we don't want this to deter people from the final product, but that's certainly not how it feels.
I mean, they did that with Aces. Aces, they took constructive feedback from Aces when they did that tech test.
And they did it with ARMS, and that one, the ARMS play tests or whatever were great. That was ultimately what led me to want to buy ARMS, and then none of us ever played it. So, but those play tests were more fun than I had with the game itself, because we never played. But it was good.
I mean, it's a good way to have a concentrated population, which I know that's why they're doing it, is because they do want to stress the servers. But
if they really wanted to stress it, having people talk about it and share videos and stuff is going to get more interest.
Mm-hmm.
If you and Josh are streaming it and playing it, I'm going to be more interested in it than I am if you guys are just playing in a vacuum.
But they almost make that damn near impossible with the time frames that they have.
Yeah, for sure.
I told my wife about it too, because the evening times are 7 p.m. Pacific, which is like right in the middle of bedtime, because it's 8 o'clock for me. That's right in the middle of bedtime for my kids. It's like, I also want to show my oldest, William, like I want to show him, and there's only like one time that's going to be while he's awake. It's noon on Saturday or something like that. So
get him up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. for you, right?
Yeah. My wife, I told her about that 4 a.m. time. She's like, "Are you going to set an alarm?" I'm like, no. But I was like, that's for Japan, but because I'm assuming this is a worldwide stress test, right? That's the only reason I could think for those time frames.
I could see it just being a North America, because for Aces they did a special Japan.
Sounded like the Street Fighter announcer.
I don't know.
Japan.
They did a specific stress test for us and then for Japan.
But like that 3 a.m. time frame isn't even for like third shift people. Like they're still at work, so I don't know who that time is for.
I don't know. I mean, maybe this is a worldwide. I don't know for sure, but I know in the case of Aces, because remember we all went out with our Japanese eShop account and download the Aces version so we could play. Was it a little bit early, or
12 hours early or something like that?
Yeah. So
I'm so nervous when I'm in the Japanese eShop that I'm buying something in yen that I don't have, and it's so nerve-wracking, because I still have that account for the SNES and NES titles and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's super nerve-wracking going into that. But I'm wondering if they're going to do, because I'm sure we have the tech test. It's open and free for everybody for MLB The Show. I downloaded it on my Switch. It's coming out on all 3 platforms for the tech test. They did a tech test last year as well. I think I had it on PlayStation. But there was also a terms of agreement that you signed on that one, that you weren't streaming it and weren't showcasing any of it on social media. And your username is plastered in watermark all over it, all over the MLB The Show.
Know.
They know if you post anything or stream it.
If it
I'm wondering if Wii Sports is gonna, or
Nintendo doesn't know how to do that. Let's be real.
They have your stuff plastered all over it.
They have no idea how to do that. They're going to use the honor system and lawyers. They don't know how to do that.
Send you to jail for 40 months or whatever, right?
They pay for the best lawyers on earth, not the best technical admins.
But they post this fine print at the very bottom that very few people. I posted in their thread today. Hey, they don't want anybody showing this, right? And then I had people asking me for the source, and I'm like,
Nintendo's website.
Scroll. Like literally scroll down. Like,
but who's gonna read that far? Because you see a EULA and you just accept. I have to accept.
And the app launches. I was in it today. Like you can go in there and half create your Mii. It's 8 preset Miis. You don't really get to customize anything. You get to change your name if it's not the profile that you're on or whatever. But then it goes to a thanks for playing page. So it's like you're done. and you can go back to the title page just because it's not going to activate until those set times. But I didn't see any disclaimer inside the app, so I don't know unless when it goes live, stuff needs to be disclaimed in, like, they need to have that fine print listed right there if they really don't want people showcasing that.
It's and that's the thing. I came across as if I was blaming the people asking for the source. That's not it. Like, it should be front and center, like pop-up window. You can't close it for 30 seconds until you read it.
Scroll on the bottom, like, make sure.
I mean, and who knows what they're gonna do? They're probably not gonna do anything, right? Like,
it's gonna be really hard.
Worst case, they would suspend your account if they go through the trouble to track you down.
Well, and even that, it's probably be more hard. Like the one person that asked me for the source, they're cruising along on YouTube. Like, they just hit like 69,000 subs, and they're, and to have the potential of Nintendo being like, giving them a copyright strike or anything like that. DMCA.
They could just claim they could just claim the content, and that's what they do. But who knows?
I don't know. I don't know. At least Nintendo's healthy enough now that they're not going after everybody making YouTube videos on their games, so
just when they get big enough. When they get big enough and they see it as a threat.
My content.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
my songs.
I put out a tweet tonight before we started saying Nintendo just needs to do a digital garage sale. Yep. Right? Just make all the games on the Wii U and the 3DS $2. And just, I mean, not many of them are coming over. Not that many people even own the Wii U. So what, like, I feel like they could make so much more money looking at it like that, where it's like, hey, here's a closeout sale. Like,
yeah. Well, and I heard the IGM podcast talking about, like, the classics 3D, like the Excite Bike and Kid Icarus that they remade in 3D on the Nintendo 3DS eShop. Like, I'm probably going to go pick up all those classics just because they remade them in a unique way that took good advantage of the 3D feature on the 3DS, which is such a unique, all Nintendo hardware is just unique stuff built in. Like the Wii U, we don't get the Switch without the Wii U. I think it was kind of an alpha, if you will. Like it paved the way for what we have, and it had unique, cool features. And the 3DS was just it rode the fad that was 3D TVs and 3D movies at the time, but like it found a cool way to do 3D without the glasses. It gives you a headache after a half hour, but it's still a cool thing to take advantage of and try to preserve. Like it should be preserved.
I think Nintendo is more of the mind of the old, although this doesn't work anymore, but I used to compare them to Disney in the, they'd like to lock things behind the Disney vault and kind of keep that scarcity. But Disney's not even doing that anymore because they have a subscription service that is dominating. So that no longer holds true.
But there is one worrisome thing with Disney and Netflix stuff, which is the Defenders for individual shows and then the combined stuff that's leaving Netflix later the next month, I think. And it's not super clear if it's all coming up on Disney Plus, but it I think it was confirmed. I did see something confirmed today that Disney is retaining the rights to it, but we should see that hopefully soon. But like that's kind of in that vein. We don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'll talk about this. Yeah. Quick side tangent. This somehow I'll figure out how to tie this back to Nintendo. So Taco Bell, the reason they do special menu items is it's two things. So they do limited run items, not necessarily to even sell you on that, but it's to make you reappreciate your regular chalupa. So if you go and have a toasted cheddar chalupa, yada, 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 right? This new item. She always likes to play with the toys. This is the only time she plays with toys.
Doritos Locos Taco.
And, well, that's a staple now. That's a normal menu item. But let's say regular bean burrito, right? So, like, you go and have this other thing, and then it makes you think, like, man, I really just missed my regular bean burrito. So next time you go back, or quickly you go back and get that bean burrito. somehow this is going to tie into Nintendo. Give me a second, I'll get there. But I think what Nintendo is doing is similar in the opposite direction. I don't know how this is going to tie. Somehow the Disney thing reminded me of Taco Bell. It's not going to tie. I think Nintendo doesn't want to give us their old games. They could. They don't want to.
They do.
They don't.
If you pay for the expansion pack.
No, the expansion pack is shit. Like, it is. It's not good. Like,
Mario Kart, man. It's they're good. That's the new Smash. Like, that's the new Smash reveal. Every direct they're gonna give us.
Man, it's stupid. I just want to buy the games. Like, charge us a little more and give us all of them. You know, similar to Disney Plus or Netflix or something, or make a damned eShop that I can buy virtual console games on. Like, why do we have to wait for them to slow trickle one by one? Like, it's ridiculous.
And I think I saw something today that said they're happy with the current plan of how they're releasing classic titles, and they don't plan on doing a la carte anytime soon.
Yeah, so Nate says In-N-Out hasn't changed their menu forever. I'll touch two things on that. One, In-N-Out is overrated. You heard it here first. I like In-N-Out, but it's still fast food cheeseburger. Number two,
it's got a nice toasted bun, you know.
No, In-N-Out's pretty good. Everything's fresh. I'm joking. I do like In-N-Out, but my biggest problem with In-N-Out is it's more popular for being crowded than it is for being good. Like, no one cares to go to that random Nevada In-N-Out that no one's at. They want to go wait in line for 3 hours for a $3 cheeseburger. And so it's that FOMO. In-N-Out's biggest strength is the FOMO.
It still takes 45 minutes to get through the drive-through at mine here that just opened this year.
Oh, 45 minutes is nothing. There's one that opened like 2 years ago here that you still, unless you go at like, awkward times that people aren't normally eating, you're looking at over an hour plus still.
Yeah, that doesn't make it good for lunch.
No, you gotta get back to work. Yeah.
Crawler, we went to In-N-Out together. Do you remember what I ate?
4x4? Do you get 4x4? That's my guess.
2 of them.
Why would you eat 2 4x4s? That is.
And you got a milkshake too.
I think. Get an 8x8 at that point. Save you on the carbs. I usually just get a double. I'm happy with it. I've had a 4x4 just because it was fun to order off the menu and felt cool.
I was a different person then. I was much heavier.
2 4x4s. That's
and the fries and the impressive shake.
That's one thing about In-N-Out I'm not huge on. I don't love their fries.
Their fries are actually horrible. Yeah. I loved In-N-Out when I lived in California. When Crawler and I went back, when we went and I got to go back, I was like, I mean, it's not as bad as Whataburger. Sorry, anybody in Texas, but
Whataburger sucks.
Oh, it's the worst. It is the absolute. It's like I think that's
the next thing that's coming to Colorado is Whataburger. I think.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah. We should rank fast food restaurants one of these episodes.
We should. Yeah. So In-N-Out's hamburgers are good. Like, I like a smash burger. I think it's great. Like, they use never frozen beef. It's fresh. It's good. Their fries are terrible. And people are going to say, well, you got to get them animal style. It's still terrible. And the cheese congeals and turns gross.
Yeah. And why do I need to literally eat a fry that turns to dust when I bite it? Like, what is...
It is nice that it's a fresh potato cut there in the store, but still,
it'd be way nicer if it wasn't.
Five Guys.
Let's be real here. It'd be way nicer if it wasn't.
Five Guys is a better way to get that fresh cut fry, though.
Well, in Seattle, you've got Dick's Burgers, and like it's just a better In-N-Out. That's better fries. It's better.
Gates' favorite burger too.
Yeah. It's. I mean, their money all day.
I once remember a clip that said Dick's. I could eat that all day, every day.
Yeah, that's me. Thanks. Yeah, that was my clip. You could probably find it somewhere.
I remember.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah, there's here locally. There's Burgerville, and they're fresh and delicious. The biggest difference between Burgerville and In-N-Out for me is Burgerville's hella expensive. Like In-N-Out's still really cheap. Like no one's gonna complain about the prices there. At Burgerville, it's like Red Robin burger prices. It's just too much.
Yeah, $10 for burgers a lot.
Yeah, and they are that much, but they use like all fresh, like Tillamook cheese. They use locally sourced meats. Like it's all really good quality for fast food burgers, but expensive.
Nate said Smashburger. He had Smashburger for the first time. Actually, I don't think I've had Smash. I think Shake Shack is the one. Like Shake Shack is damn good. Like we've driven all the way like down to like Seattle, Bellevue area just to get
some Shake Shack.
But it wasn't cheap. It was like $50 for 3 people to eat, and I was like,
a burger and some crinkle cut fries. Like,
yeah. So it is what it is. But I do want to backtrack a little bit here because I wanted to touch on I probably don't remember now. We've talked about so much food.
Nintendo.
Yeah,
we were talking about sports games.
Well, I think it had to do more with just the eShop and all that kind of stuff. And I don't remember exactly what my train of thought was at this point, but I think I remember what I was. Crawler mentioned Mario Kart, right? Mm-hmm. The writing was on the wall for Mario Kart. I had to walk into Walmart, like I think the day after the announcement, and it had like 25 steering wheels stacked up. I'm like, well, that would have been a pretty clear indicator that something's going on with Mario. Like if I had walked in there,
the $100 big one,
no, cheaper one, the $60 one or whatever. So.
Yeah, you should have known something was up if you see that coming in.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They had started restocking them prior, but they didn't have that many. But now their shelves were loaded. I was just like, what is going on?
That's how you get the gold. That's how you get the gold wheel. Because does that count as tilt? Does that count as tilt controls if you use the wheel?
I'm not even sure. I don't even know. Like, I have 2 of the wheels. I've never used them.
Yeah, that would be so odd to try to drive. You'd have to set it up one time because you race so much Mario Kart. Mm-hmm. I wonder how that would feel to go in, because when you're working on the turbo, you're throwing the stick back and forth to wiggle the tires. What does that mean for the wheel? I wonder.
I saw somebody post in a Facebook group today that like you can set the like the sensitivity on them and everything, and you got to crank them way up and
does that wheel have force feedback?
I think the $100 one might, but the other one, I think it just spins. I don't think it does.
So it's like off-road?
Who made
They're both by Hori, I'm fairly certain. So, but I mean, you got gas pedals and everything with both of them. So, I don't know. I need to set them up one day and mess with them, but it's one of those things.
Get an overhead cam going.
Yeah.
Get a foot cam.
Oh yeah, there you go.
You can get that OnlyFans content going.
Yeah. only
sweet
feet.
Gear changing. I guess there's no gears in Mario Kart.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Nintendo leaves the option to like sweeten the deal with Nintendo Switch Online. But it's one of those things that it's like, unless they're going to like literally bring every first party from every console they've had, it's no Game Pass, right? Yeah. And it's not, I don't assume that that's what they think they're trying to compete with when it comes to but like, we're slow. I still think Nintendo is happy with this cloud gaming stuff and that's why the OLED dock has a Ethernet port. I think that's part of their thinking there is like, this will help.
I hope Xbox division can persuade Nintendo otherwise, because I think it was an interview with CNN or somebody high up at Xbox was talking about it. And their continued commitment to PlayStation. And I'm sure this is all precursor to FTC investigations for antitrust and all that kind of stuff. But they're not planning on taking any. It was carefully worded. I'm paraphrasing after listening to a few podcasts this week, but that they have no intentions of removing any of seeing their current obligations through with regards to PlayStation titles from Blizzard Activision, and that they continue to go further even with those established franchises that are on there. That makes me feel like anything that they want to pull out of the back catalog, like Hexen or Guitar Hero, or if they choose to make Spyro or Crash or anything new future going forward, that they might make that exclusive for some way. But I think also in that same breath, there was talk that they want to offer that stuff on PlayStation, but also work with the established successful console from Nintendo. If that's the case, like that's their again, just like we talked about potentially getting Game Pass on PlayStation, if they were to try to lock that behind Game Pass, like that could be their way that they offer it on PlayStation. That could also be the way that they try to offer offerings on Nintendo.
I just don't know what the incentive to Nintendo and PlayStation would be.
That's a better version. I mean, right now, cloud gaming can't be doing that well on Nintendo.
Yeah, but do they care? They want you to buy Mario Kart for the 40th time, and you're going to.
Yeah,
but if you come in on Game Pass and not spend that money in the Nintendo ecosystem, it doesn't do them any good. And we already know console sales are not what's making these companies. Console sales
Nintendo money.
I doubt the OLED's making them that much money at this point. But I mean, maybe let's say they're making $50 per unit or something. That's something. But they want you to buy add-ons. They want you to buy some controllers, couple games. They want you to sub to this crappy subscription that you get DLC for games you may not play.
So maybe the caveat is to connect online to Game Pass, you have to have Nintendo Online Expansion Pass.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
then I could see the incentive.
I don't know. That's not very consumer friendly, but
there has to be an incentive though, because like I can see the incentive for Microsoft. Obviously, like it's a no-brainer for them, but for PlayStation and Nintendo, I don't see what they would do unless they're just really being dude bros and saying like, "Hey, we're here for the gamer." But outside of that, like it's not a good financial move.
Because then you start walking into the problem like with Apple and Google and even PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox when it comes to Epic. Like the money that I have on Fortnite that I bought in the Fortnite launcher on PC isn't always viewed. If I open it on Xbox, I don't always see the same amount of V-Bucks. They like lock certain V-Bucks behind certain applications that you bought it on because those different avenues that you purchase it through take their cut or whatever. And that was the whole point of Epic taking Fortnite off of the Apple Store, is because Apple was cutting 10% off the top or whatever, and you were getting less V-Bucks on iPhone than you were if you bought it through the launcher. And so Epic was wanting to take their control back.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we would see infighting there with the eShop taking their cut off the top and everything else.
I don't know what their cut would be, unless I guess if you're buying DLC for a Game Pass game, because you would pay Microsoft directly for the Game Pass sub. So
if it were to happen, I don't think Game Pass Ultimate players would have access to Switch Game Pass. I think it would be a separate. I think it would be a completely separate $15 a month charge or $10 a month charge. That probably 15 because Nintendo's like, we're taking at least 5 of that.
Yeah. Well, and what does that mean for titles that are on the eShop as well? Like, there's stuff that like Death's Door is on the eShop, but like I waited a little bit and it came to Game Pass. I can play it on Xbox.
Yeah, but I mean they still exist in the Xbox Game Store too.
True.
So, but I mean obviously that there again goes the issue, because Microsoft they own both of those ecosystems. So what do they care? But in this case, what incentive would Nintendo have to make something that competes with their offering, right?
I think they almost have to do. Xbox would have to present to both PlayStation and Nintendo the analytics that they have that says when stuff leaves Game Pass, games are purchased.
Yeah.
Because they offer a discount. I don't know if they'd almost maybe work out something, but if they could come up with a cool way to transfer, if Xbox and works with developers that come to Game Pass and they work with a cross save functionality. MLB The Show is going to have cross save across all three platforms. I don't think it's coming to PC. I'm not sure if MLB The Show comes to PC, but it has cross save functionality. So I could, if I choose to buy it on Switch, it's coming to Game Pass. If I do one thing, I can synchronize and then pick up where I left off. If they can find a cool way, if you play a game on Game Pass and then it decides to leave Game Pass and you buy it on Switch or you buy it on PlayStation or whatever, and it's not in the app that you launch for Game Pass, but you can transfer that save to your digital copy that you buy on said ecosystem, like that would be incentive there, because Xbox has analytics on that show when games are on Game Pass, you get a discount buying it in the store when it's getting ready to leave. They have really high retention numbers or whatever that they show that people purchase the game.
Would it matter though? Because all three of them are making more money than they've ever made as companies right now. They're all selling their consoles faster than they can make them. So do you think any of them care? Like, do you think Nintendo's like, man, I sure wish we could figure out a way to tackle, they can't keep up with the demand already. So I don't see any scenario where they're like, yeah, let's do this, because you run the risk of, if I'm invested in that Xbox Game Pass ecosystem, maybe I'll buy a game on the Switch, but I'm probably going to buy, I don't know. I mean, there'd have to be some real solid market analysis that shows that makes sense to play ball. I don't see PlayStation doing it. Nintendo, man, I don't even see them doing it because of just how well they're doing right now. They have no incentive. They're selling so much hardware and software right now that I just don't see why they would want to.
Well, I think it would undercut their business altogether. I mean, the Switch has 766 million units of software sold, right?
That's so much.
And they've sold more hardware than the Wii. I'm looking at the figures right now, right? But the software on Wii and on DS is still in the 900 millions.
Well,
right?
the Wii had a freaking eShop with Virtual Console too.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it didn't have quite the indies that the Switch does.
No. Yeah.
But
they had Neo Geo and Sega and some other classic stuff that came.
Yeah, but that's over its entire lifespan. So the Switch is well on its way to surpassing both those systems.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is going to sell 800 million copies on its own.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
But I think I can't imagine, like, and I just looked up to see, like, how much does Nintendo make per game, and it's rough estimates are 30 to 40%, right?
Yeah.
So that's still, like, what I think we would have to see happen is it would be a like Nate said, curated first party maybe only, where like they take. I can't imagine Nintendo saying, hey, your brand new game is coming out and it's going to be available on this cloud service.
Yeah.
With the way they're moving unit. I mean, the reason Microsoft came up with Game Pass because they weren't moving.
They were behind.
Yeah,
they were last.
They weren't moving anything. So Nintendo doesn't need to play ball right here. But I think the other thing is you throw Game Pass on there, you're taking people out of the eShop, period. You're taking that you're giving them more time just to sit in game. at a lesser price than if they are just like, yeah, I want to see. I mean, how many times have we fired up our Switch and then I'm like, oh, I wonder what the deals are right now, right? You go in there and check, and maybe you end up purchasing something. You have Game Pass on there, and it's like, well, I have 100 free games to choose from right now. Yeah. I'm not going to.
And you also run I'll wait and see if maybe this one goes to Game Pass soon. But so that's another thing. I think Midfi, welcome. Mario Kart 8 Double D, yes. So I think Microsoft, they won't say what they're making as far as revenue and how much they're paying for developers and stuff, but I'm not convinced they're yet making a ton of money off Game Pass. I think they're still in the building, and it's Microsoft. They have so much money to throw around that it's kind of like the Netflix model, where Netflix, they haven't been profitable for a long time because they're still building.
Well, they're hiking up their price. Jeff Bezos is hiking up his price. Who else is getting? They're all starting to charge more.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering if some of these third-party developers who are jumping in on Game Pass on Xbox, it's lucrative for them to do that now because they're going to get a cut, right? They're going to get a cut from Xbox, but then also they probably know, like, we're still going to sell on PlayStation, we're still going to potentially sell on Nintendo if it's that cross-plat. So if you take that away, and now I'm not going to sell anywhere because it's on Game Pass, essentially, is it still lucrative for the developers?
Well, it plays to Microsoft's hand, because now if I know I can get everything from Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda and Xbox, why even go and buy a PlayStation at that point? Because the value's not there for me to have to spend $60, unless I'm a
$70.
$70, right? So I mean, it.
Not if you buy the PS4 version and then upgrade it to.
That's only on one remaining title coming out this week.
Yeah,
but I pre-ordered Elden Ring and it was $60. So
yeah, so everyone sets a price.
Some developers are
but Nintendo, that doesn't mean that you're gonna have your hardcore Sony fans that are still going to pick up those games, the same as you're gonna have Nintendo fans, picking up their games. And I mean, Nintendo just showed us with the last Direct, they have no signs of stopping. They're putting out, in some cases, we're getting 2 games a month, which is that's almost unheard of, right?
This year is 2018 again.
Yeah, 17.
Was it 17? Was 17 the good year? Was that the Odyssey year?
17 was Breath of the Wild, Odyssey,
Mario Kart,
Xenoblade. I think 18 was the good year then, right? Because 17 was launch year.
17 was launch year.
Launch year was really good.
Oh, you're talking the title every month?
Yeah, multiple titles every month that we couldn't keep up.
Yeah,
obviously that slowed.
And it did, and I think Nintendo was still planning on more third parties stepping up. Not as many have, other than, I mean, that's not to say some haven't. Square is, and Ubisoft is right there, and
EA is still lost in the clouds.
They've been putting their ports on there, right? Like Need for Speed and Burnout and some indie titles and
Burnout was a decent port.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it was it was almost like let's price this higher than any other, and then when it doesn't sell, we'll be like, see, we told you, and we're not going to put anything else on here.
And let's put a shitty version of FIFA on this and say nobody wants to buy this game. Yeah. Well, I don't understand why.
Yeah,
couldn't possibly understand.
I mean, I like what I'm seeing as far as Xbox shaking things up, right? I don't know that Nintendo or Sony are being all that shook up, but Microsoft is gaining market share, especially against the home console. The Switch is doing its own thing. Will Nintendo ever go to another, back to just strictly a handheld or strictly a console, a TV console? No way. I can't imagine there would be any reason for them to do that when I have a feeling the next iteration of the Super Switch or Switch Wii U or whatever they call it, Switch U, it'll just be a more powerful version of this one.
I just want them to make that badass console just once, just one more time. and have that killer Zelda, and then I'll be happy with them going back to non-competing graphically.
I mean, look at Steam Deck. Like Steam Deck is a response to Switch. I mean, full on. Like it I don't even think it hides it that well. Like, and it's expensive for. I mean, that's mainly for storage is expensive, but like processing wise, I think you can probably get it for if Nintendo's willing to price it. They have to be willing to come up in price and not be the child's toy price point, like, which some people probably don't want to hear, because there's consoles right now that are 500 and 400 and that's what they are, and that's part of why Switch has been so successful at 300, 350 and 200 with their price points.
How much was the 64 when it dropped? It was
a lot.
It was like 300 back in what, 96?
96.
So that was like $1 million back then. But wasn't it 300 when it launched?
199.
200.
That it?
Yeah,
that is. Yeah,
that was at launch. Okay, I mean, still with inflation, we'd have to look at how much that is, but it wasn't exactly cheap. That wasn't,
that was no game. That was the one controller.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it launched with only 2 games. Mario and Pilot Wings. Those
equivalent to $200 in 1996 is equivalent to $358.
Okay, that's not unreasonable, but
it's better than PS3. You get a second job.
Yeah. What was that? $600 for that one?
600
for the.
But I mean, Eric, to your point of, that killer Zelda, like, I mean, the iPad Pro is like it games look incredible on there.
That's $1,000.
It was $1,000 for the iPad Pro I bought 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but all of that should now be cheaper. So by the time we get to and games run at 120 on there, right? So
what chipset is Nintendo using?
I thought it was an Nvidia.
Probably.
I think so. It's
because Xbox and PlayStation are on AMD.
Yeah. No, I would just love for them to make one console, powerful like the Series X or
Tegra. Nvidia Tegra line is the chipset they're using.
Yeah, and it was already dated when they launched with it. It was already old tech, So
which is that's what made it profitable for them.
And that's my point, that the second iteration, if it's 5 years from now, if they could have something similar to an iPad Pro from 3 years ago,
they're still going to be behind.
They're still going to be behind, but they could still make some pretty great looking games.
Iterations in the last 8 years have really come with speed and loading. Like, graphics have gotten better, sharper a little bit, but like it's been frame rate and speed of loading. Like since the HD era started, when we got like up to 1080 native, like it's been about frame rate and
wrong.
Okay.
No, so
don't forget ray tracing.
Yeah, so I think not from the 1080p era. Let's be real here, because going back to like the early PS4 titles and early Xbox One titles, they don't look as good as the titles today. Even the early Xbox One titles to the last Xbox One titles we got, they made some pretty big jumps.
The cinematics in Reach on 360 were pretty impressive for what they.
Yeah, but then the gameplay looked like doo-doo. I mean, it didn't. It was fine, right? But it wasn't. The cinematics were leaps and bounds. Where now we have cinematic gameplay, right? Like it's all
it seamlessly goes from cinematic into gameplay. Yeah,
because we're looking at, like, we were going to talk about Horizon. We can transition to, like, that game. For something about it doesn't excite me that much, but I will say graphically it looks amazing. All the preview videos I'm watching, like it looks like it's probably going to be the best looking game to date on any platform. It looks phenomenal. doesn't mean it looks fun. It still looks like Horizon Zero fun to me. And I don't know what it is about that game or that series. It just does not look fun to me. And I played the first one a little bit and I enjoyed it, kind of.
Yeah, I stalled out on the first one. I was gonna say I stalled out on the first one. I have a hard time wanting to pick up a sequel. Like I want to play it because it does look amazing with it's a lot. I think it's a lot more bright and vibrant than the first game, which I think helps it. I mean, the bright shiny toy to play with, but I also have a problem trying to pick up a good game design, I guess, catches you up, or it doesn't matter if you know what kind of happened. But I feel like,
and I assume this is going to be that way because they know that people coming over to PS5 may have never had a PS4.
But I feel like that's a problem within gaming. Like a movie sequel, you can watch the original in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and feel somewhat caught up if you're going to go see a movie. A game, especially a game as big and expansive as Horizon Zero Dawn, like to mainline that is maybe 20 hours, right? But like if you're getting lost inside stuff or getting stuck behind something, you can, it can stall you out. And
quick tangent before I forget, I need to developers, all of you developers listening, I know you're listening. Video games need a catch me up feature. So, like, I was talking
if you
about
haven't played in 5 months,
I was talking about Ghost of Tsushima, and with a buddy
here are the
of mine,
controls. Here's what you missed,
dude. There's no way I can go back into that game because it's so technical that I'm like too far into it now, and my skills do not match the distance I've made it in that game. So I can't go back and play that game. So developers, you need hey, you've been away for 6 months. Here's a catch you up mode. Food for thought. Anyways, keep going.
But yeah, like I don't know if I'm gonna buy it like right now off the rip. I don't know because I don't have it's the zeitgeist right now coming up, but like in a week it's also Elden Ring, which I am not great at Dark Souls type like Soulsborne games, and
it looks a little less punishing, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Mass Effect 2 on PS3 did a comic to get you caught up. So
because you couldn't play the first one on PlayStation.
Couldn't play the first one.
Yeah. hey, that's cool.
Did you make character choices in that at all?
Yeah, in the comic.
Yeah, obviously you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't pull your character over. I'll pick up Horizon. I'm sure I'll give it a fair shot. I don't know. The robot dinosaurs don't do a lot for me, and then on top of that, I'm fighting cool robot dinosaurs with like sticks and bows and arrows. So it's like, I don't know. It's just not my favorite thing.
Did you guys see how the internet was freaking out because she had peach fuzz on her face like a normal human being would?
Yeah,
and then
Twitter.
Somebody zoomed in on Kirby, and they were like, Kirby has a beard too. What's going on? I was just like, I mean, the amount of detail for them to have that hair on her face, that's super impressive. Like, I don't know. The internet's so bizarre. Like that's kind of the detail that you wouldn't expect to see.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
and in gameplay you can't, right? Like you don't. You'll never see that.
It's a high res image that people are spending way too much time on the internet.
Even Uncharted 4 though, like, you know, I know we keep going back to these old games, but even on PS4, like if you get the lighting right, your ears are translucent, like they glow like a real human ear, and that was on PS4. Like some of the stuff these developers are doing is really incredible. It's those small details that really, you know, set them apart from the lesser devs. But
even the dev team, oh my gosh, the name just escaped me, from Luigi's Mansion 3. I mean, the way Luigi interacted with that world, right?
Yeah, the shadows and stuff that happened in that game.
But even whistling. The way he would get scared, you know, and the way, you know, his teeth would chatter and like,
and his hum would get more frantic when he was scared, and that was great. I need to go back and play that on the OLED. I think it would be an amazing game to play on that screen.
Next Level is the company. I just want to make sure I don't remember.
Part of the problem with the OLED is the extra real estate lets you really identify how bad 720p looks. So I went back and started playing Odyssey on it, and I was like, God, I don't remember Odyssey looking this rough around the edges, and it's just because that it's a little bit bigger and it's still 720p. So
interesting. There's not been a game that I've played that I haven't been like impressed by on the OLED, so I'll have to try.
I only played Odyssey on the TV. I never played it. I didn't even try it handheld. So
Gotcha.
My memories of it were like, oh, this is the best looking Mario we've ever had, and it is, right? It looks fantastic. Yeah. But playing it on the Switch handheld, I was like, oh man, Mario's got some rough edges.
He's got facial hair.
He does. He's got some facial hair. I don't know why that's such a. People are crazy. People are crazy.
People need better hobbies on the internet.
I know. We're talking about it's video games, right? Like if video games are this upsetting to you, maybe it's time you just find something else.
I mean, it becomes very apparent the kids that got participation trophies in sports are the ones that complain the loudest on the internet because they're like, I matter. And it's like,
my voice matters.
You really don't. As much as you wish it did, it does. You don't.
Midfi asks if we'd rather have translucent ears or games that come out on time. That's tough. I would rather games come out fully cooked than on time. But maybe
we need Midfi salt in this in these conversations.
Yeah, we need to get you in one of these.
Yeah, come on, Midfi.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's tough. Obviously, we want well done games. So maybe we want developers to be more realistic with their timelines and release dates. That's what we want, because then we wouldn't be let down in the first place. Yeah. Has a dev ever came out with a game like 6 months early? Be like, well, we told you it would be out in 2024, but we exceeded all our expectations.
Only Sega, when they announced the Saturn and they said it's out now, and all the store shelves were like,
no, it's not. No, it ain't. Yeah.
So, and I totally hear what you're saying about Horizon. I watched a buddy play it for a little while before I recorded a show with him, and I was like, this does not look like it's for me. Yeah. Right? Like I see the trailers for the new one and I'm like, oh my gosh, like
it looks phenomenal.
It looks so great. Mm-hmm. But I also am like, I just don't know if it's like, I feel like it's going to be, I feel like it was a slower paced Gears of War, more or less, with less interesting creatures that he was fighting and stuff. And so,
and there's less action because it's like a stealth game too.
Right.
So
it's don't get detected by the big scary ones that are out there.
Yeah, it's basically a slow Hello Neighbor. So my nephew likes that. No, so the other problem I have with Horizon, and I talked about it in Discord. If you haven't followed us or joined the Discord yet, you should. But we were talking about the dialogue trees bother me because they have dialogue trees, but they don't actually do anything. So it's not, some of them are decision making for, conversations, but a lot of the times these developers throw dialogue trees in there and it's literally just you asking questions. So like, who is Bob? So then the person tells you about Bob, and then to progress the conversation around, you have to say like, I'm meeting Bob at the shadow, and then they still tell you about Bob as if you didn't ask him the first time because they have to be prepared for you to skip that line of questioning.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't like these conversation trees when they're not well done or they're not impactful, right? Like, don't give me a conversation tree unless I have a decision to make.
So, gotcha. Yeah, a lot of the times is just
filler,
intel gathering, or yeah.
And I know I could skip it, but I'm reluctant to skip anything because I'm just,
you want to trigger everything that can be a possibility,
right?
Because Mass Effect and other games have
taught us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, all the Scrolls games, and Mass Effect, they do it so well that not everyone does it well.
Well, you know what you guys can do well? You can unpause your game and get back to it because we're all done now. Bye, everybody.